Welcome back onto the field here in Memorial Stadium in Berkeley, California. You're watching the Orange Media Network football recap. I'm Josh Warden, the play-by-play voice for KBVR FM. To my right is Brian Rathbone, the sports editor of the Daily Barometer. To my left, Brendan Slaughter, the color commentator and sports director for KBVR FM. Oregon State handed a 30-point defeat, 54-24 is the final in favor of California, winning their first game in 5 tries. Oregon State still winless in the Pac-12. Brian, I'll start with you. The major things that you saw tonight from Oregon State.
They just had no answer for Jared Goff. Set career. Let me read you his stat line. 26 of 37 with 1 interception, but he did throw for 453 yards and 6 touchdowns. He started the game off 0 for 3. So you do the math. That's a fantastic game for Jared Goff. He just carved up a depleted Oregon State secondary. They couldn't dial up pressure. When they did dial up pressure, they ran screen plays to perfection. Big plays in the screen game for Cal, and I think that has really kind of summed up the game for what Oregon State struggled with.
California setting a school record in total yards of offense, about 750 a week after they had 777 given up to Oregon. So California winning by 30. Brendan, you were here doing color commentary. What did you see out of California, Oregon State?
You know, I said it's hard to say, but I'm a person that's like to think optimistically. I like to take out the positive approach, and I saw Brian tweeted it. I was thinking at the same time. Sadly, Brian tweeted it first. Paul Lucas looked like, I told you this on our post-game, Josh, that I thought Paul Lucas added something to the running back position that we haven't seen since Jaquez Rogers, Brian. Elusiveness, and I'm going to touch on that in my upcoming column, The Daily Barometer, is how I think Paul Lucas is going to be I think he's going to be a mainstay at the running back position. He brings something that no other running back right now on the roster can bring. Speed, elusiveness, and he ran through guys that were, twice his size tonight sometimes? A couple times he got stacked up, but that's to be expected. Oregon State's running game took a step forward tonight. Offensively, they weren't awful. I mean, there weren't a whole lot of turnovers. They had a really good game, I thought, all considering. The rough part moving forward, Nick Mitchell's going to be out for a little while, it looks like. I'm not sure if we got any kind of an injury update on him right away. But Seth Collins is still out. Marcus McMaryion did not look very good. That's the biggest thing I can take away tonight. Maybe it's in garbage duty, maybe it's not. I think McMaryion is the worst of the 3 quarterbacks right now. And with Mitchell and Seth Collins out, both the thrower that Nick Mitchell is and the runner that Seth Collins is, that does not bode well for Oregon State offensively for a team that finally started to click tonight. On the other side of the ball, you can't really say much worse about Oregon State's defense. They were flat out awful tonight. Goff being Goff. It's almost like the Washington State game all over again. So Oregon State, it's just the weakness at corner that's killing them. Cal racked up a school record in offensive yards. There's just not much you can say. Oregon State's defense was just pitiful tonight.
Giving up 54 points tonight. It's the most points they've given up in a game this season. One last question for you, Brian. Anything come up in the interviews you talk with players, coaches after the game?
Well, obviously, huge disappointment. I think Gary Anderson's probably a little embarrassed with the outcome for the team, but he talked about that there's some younger players that are taking advantage of opportunities when they've been given them. A couple guys he pointed out was Paul Lucas. Just switched to running back this last week. He came in and obviously had a very big impact on the game. And they brought up Gabe Offguard. Came in at safety. He's a former walk-on, is a walk-on, former 1A football player. Came in early on, got a pick. He was around the football a lot. He did get dragged for about 10 yards on one play, but he was one guy that Gary Anderson brought up that really kind of stepped in, and those are the kind of players that they're looking for, of the players that when an opportunity is given to them, they take advantage of it.
Offguard, the redshirt freshman, 8 tackles on the night, 1 pick, and then Paul Lucas, 70 rushing yards, the true freshman. So, Oregon State losing by 30, 54-24 is the final here in Berkeley. Oregon State will be back at home against Washington next week for the final home game of the year, and then at Oregon the day after Thanksgiving. KBVR FM will have broadcasts of both of those games. Also look for the Daily Barometers coverage this week and of the rest of the football season and all other OSU athletics. So for Brian Rathbone, Brendan Slaughter, I'm Josh Warden signing off from Berkeley. Thanks for watching the Orange Media Network Football Recap.